Welcome back to my jQuery crash course lesson number 2, and in today's video I'm going to be going over jQuery syntax. And before we actually get started, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new important lessons. And so to use the jQuery syntax, we first have to learn it. So the first step is actually to define jQuery. So what I mean by this is basically using the money sign. And if you've seen the last video, then you know that the money sign and document.query selector are going to be the exact same thing. So we basically have to assign jQuery. And then usually you would have to look for an element. So let's go to our HTML file. I'm going to create an H1. I'm going to write title in the text here so we can actually see it. Now let's go back to our JavaScript file and we're going to use the round brackets. And here we're going to write h1, so this is going to be the name of the element. And once we've done these two steps, so define jQuery and then select our h1 with the element selector. And by the way, you can do this. So I added an ID here. You can select it like like CSS. So basically use the hashtag for IDs and then a period for classes. But because it's an ID, I'm just going to write the hashtag sign and then it was title. And the next thing to do is add an action. And what I added in the last video is actually also an action. So let's do that. Let's add that, which was period hide. And what it did was basically hide the element. And if we take a look here, we can see that it added a style of display none. And so because there's hide, that means that there's supposed to be also a show, right? So let's try it out. I'm gonna use the jQuery, or I'm gonna define jQuery. I'm gonna select it using the element, and then I'm gonna write period show. And now what we're gonna see is that we have a style here, but it's set to nothing. So basically, you remove the style of display none. So if we actually go here and write style display and then none, and then we remove this, then we can see that it removed it. But then if we comment this out, then we can see that it didn't. So this action of show, it works. And then also the action of hide also works. Now let's say that we had two H1s like this, and we wanted to only select the first one and do an action with it, then we would have to add a certain ID or class to it. So do something like this. We could write main, and then here in the ID we could write secondary. And let's say that we wanted for this one to disappear and then this one to appear. So let's say that um, they both have a style of display none. Let's copy that, paste it here like this. And let's say they wanted only this one to appear and then this one to disappear, or I guess stay, or still have a display of none. Then what we would do is we would select the second H1 with the ID of secondary. And we can either do it by writing this, so doing this secondary. But what if we had another element with an ID of secondary? What we could do is actually write h1, so the name of the element, and then if it's an ID, then we would write hashtag, and then the name of the ID. But if it was a class, then we would do the same thing. We would add a period instead of an ID or a hashtag. Now, if we save this, we can see that it does work. And if we inspect this, we can see that it's the h1 with the ID of secondary. Now, there's a lot more things we can do. So we can do something like, let's say that none of them had IDs or classes. What we could do is, actually, let's delete this one and then this one. For the titles, I'm going to change this one to main so we can actually see them, and then this one secondary. So now we can't see any of them. So let's say that I wanted to show the first H1, but it didn't have a class, and I couldn't just do something like this. So H1 dot show, so show, because it would show both of them. So what we can do, instead of adding an ID or a class, we can use something like this. So using the first, and now we would see that it didn't work because I messed up. There's only one instead of two. So there we go. Now we would see that it would only show the first one. There's also last. So if I used last, then we can see that it would show the secondary one. And by last, it means that if we had another element here, and then we would write, let's do secondary, and then third. So it would show the last H1. I'm going to show you this W3 Schools cheat sheet basically, which has all of the syntaxes that we can use. So right here, we can see that this is the same as CSS to select all of the elements. We have what I just did. So this is the element and then with a class of intro, but I did it with an ID. We use the first. We can do something like this. So it's an unordered list with a list. So we're selecting the first list item in the unordered list and so on. And so this is going to be for this video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, then leave a like, sub to the channel for more content like this. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or video requests. Stay tuned for any new jQuery lessons and hopefully see you in the next video.